As usual, I cannot ever seem to keep these at the 15-minute mark for recording, so I'm going to pick up here. Um, so let's see. As we move on, we start talking about amphetamines and specifically methamphetamine, cathinone, and ephedrine, and you can see sort of the chemical makeup here. Um, There's a couple of street names on 413 to pay attention to so you know what your clients are talking about when they use some of the street names, amphetamine and methamphetamine, the first paragraph and the second paragraph. Uh, and then, of course, there's a long history of using CAT, and that's what, your book talks about that as well. I'm not going to talk about the mechanisms here. You guys can read, but also make sure you're really only paying attention to what we need to know, not necessarily what pharmacists or physicians need to know. And then real important on 415, it starts talking about the therapeutic use for amphetamine and methamphetamine. And that is obviously for the treatment of ADHD. And many of you who sort of grew up in the Ritalin or ADHD world probably know many people, or maybe even you yourself, have been on ADHD meds. And what's interesting about that is that, let me forward, sorry. What's interesting about that is, amphetamines and their use for ADHD it's beneficial. It's incredibly beneficial for those who really need it, and those who are being prescribed appropriately, and for those that are taking them as it should be. It is attention enhancing. It is focus enhancing. It is a very positive drug to use for folks who really, really need it. The problem is it's being overly prescribed, too widely prescribed, and certainly just being used as a substance that maybe not necessarily many of the people who are being prescribed it need. My first question when I talk with folks who may have previously been prescribed ADHD meds or are currently on meds is who prescribed it for you? And if the answer is, a physician's assistant or a general practitioner or maybe even their pediatrician, I really try to encourage clients to get a more a thorough psychiatric assessment, unless, of course, one was done by their general physician or by their pediatrician. The likelihood of that happening is probably very slim, but I encourage folks to get a better assessment. There are a variety of ways that ADHD can present itself, and there's no one substance that works for all. And so it's kind of one of those, maybe similarly with mood disorders, you have to figure out which med works best. And, I always try to encourage folks to have a better set of eyes, a more skilled set of eyes, and I try to encourage them to go to a psychiatrist or someone that really specializes in ADHD testing to get their medication monitored, because it is highly abused. It is widely sold among college campuses. It's a performance enhancing, and when you think performance enhancing, think mental performance enhancing drug. It does give you clearer focus. It does give you more heightened alertness and awareness. And so one could see why people would use this to get ahead in, let's say, educational realms, college, in college environment. Make sure you pay attention going into 416 on dependence withdrawal and the cognitive functioning when chronic meth use. This is pretty damaging. Chronic meth use is not, it's pretty bad, and it affects many, 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 many aspects of an individual. And one of those ways that it affects the individual is certainly, you can see a picture here on 417 of the individual's sort of physical transformation or physical appearance. And we've probably all seen those videos, the before and after kind of video of someone who uses meth. But another aspect of that is the cognitive functioning. And what we're finding out is there are some pretty irreversible, damaging aspects of your cognitive abilities that are being impeded, impaired, or in some instances just damaged, just outright damaged as a result of using meth, smoking crack. But we're seeing this a lot in meth because meth is, made with a lot of really, really, really bad stuff. Your book talks about it a little bit, but it's mixed with a lot of really bad stuff. And that does a number on your physical self. Again, not just sort of the outside, but also the and can certainly lead to irreversible psychotic symptoms, the development of irreversible mood disorders. This is pretty bad stuff. Let me jump through here. It obviously prevents sleeping, or the ability to sleep, and really the ability for your circadian rhythm, which is your we're talking about sort of a natural sleep cycle. Doing cocaine, doing amphetamines, doing methamphetamine, it stops that natural ability for your body to say, hey, I need to eat. Hey, I need to sleep. And particularly when we talk about sleep, it's important that we know this because we will oftentimes see clients who have been doing stimulants for a very, very, very long time. Stimulants or any other substance, but we're talking about stimulants here. But they come to you and they talk about having, real big problems sleeping, and they want to resort back to what their natural tendency is, and that is to find something external, i.e. a substance, to help them with this immediate problem, the immediate problem being they can't sleep. And so it's really important for us to start having conversations with them about sleep hygiene and allowing their body to get back on track and to start regulating things like eating and sleeping, as opposed to immediately jumping off into what they know to work, and that is to find something external to help them with this problem. And you often hear clients say, "Oh, I need to go see the doc. I need to see, whoever your treating psychiatrist may be, or they need, they want a referral because they have problems sleeping." And while the referral may be great and the referral may be perfectly fine, it's very important, and it is our duty to start talking to them about how the substances that they've used have interfered with this process, and that, they kind of need to let their body catch up and get back on board with what it's supposed to be doing naturally. Our body does what it's supposed to do very well. We mess it up. We get in there and mess it up and say we know more, and we want to encourage our clients to allow their body to do what it can do all on its own. Your book then starts going into Flakka. We don't hear, it's certainly still there, but we're not hearing too much about this anymore. It's pretty bad stuff as well. And then I sort of skipped over, because I'm at the end of my book here as I'm talking to you, and I skipped over a little bit talking about ephedra. Ephedra was outlawed. It was widely used in the 80s for diet and weight loss, and a lot of well-known folks died as a result of this, because it's pretty bad. So, if you've ever heard of anyone talk about fen-phen, well, ephedra was one of the compounds or one of the substances in fen-phen, and it was pretty bad, and that is a stimulant. The book references it, and I apologize, I don't know what page it's on. I've kind of skipped through here, but know that stimulants are oftentimes used as, I forgot where it was. Oftentimes used to control weight gain, and so that may be something that if you have a client who maybe has some eating disorders that you want to pay attention to, or even just substance use disorders, that maybe one of their desired effects is weight gain. Okay, I'm going to stop talking and you guys can read and do all your assignments.